I've been wanting to do this video blog for a while now, and it's about a month delayed, but still, nevertheless, I thought it was a better time than any, especially since I didn't really have any topics set in stone for this week. But, of course, it's very well documented. I am a huge fan of CM Punk. I have been for the better part of the last 5 years. I first became a CM Punk fan. I liked him when he was a babyface, doing the Mr. Money in the Bank thing, when he was in ECW, his time, the heel Straight Edge Society thing, or not even Straight Edge Society before that. When he was just doing the Straight Edge Pledge thing back in '09. I liked him back then, was not a huge fan of him. It really wasn't until the summer of 2010, so about 5 years ago, that I became a fan of CM Punk, when his humor really just started to shine through in his character when he was a part of the Straight Edge Society, and he really started to let his personality shine through. And I became a big fan of CM Punk, have been a big fan of his since. Through his heel work, through his babyface work, loved, my favorite match of all time is him versus John Cena at the 2011 Money in the Bank pay-per-view, hence why July 17th is my favorite day of the year. I've talked about this here on the video blog before, about a year ago. But the point of all this is that it was about a month ago that CM Punk announced that he was going to be signing with UFC. Now, this struck a lot of criticism and a lot of controversy from a lot of people, and for a lot of valid reasons. There was one very valid reason that I read that I agreed with, even though I am the biggest CM Punk fan, and that, why would he go to UFC when he complained about taking, The Rock coming back and Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker coming back and taking spots from guys like him that had been working all year. Whereas he's going to UFC to take a spot from someone else. He's not going to the Ultimate Fighter first. He's not going to be fighting the biggest name in the business when he signs with UFC. Or he already has signed with UFC. But when he has his first fight this summer, he's not going to be facing the biggest name. But he isn't technically going to the Ultimate Fighter first. He isn't really working his way up the ranks. He does have a background in mixed martial arts. And, he is going to the training camp, and he is doing that before he goes to his first fight over the summer. But there is a valid criticism there, and I'm not denying that. But it got a lot of hate from people when the announcement first broke about a month ago that CM Punk was going to UFC. And shortly before that, too, with the podcast stuff, a lot of people were shitting on that. And if you're not a fan of CM Punk, that's completely okay. As big of a fan of CM Punk as I am, I'm even more in the sweatshirt right now as I'm recording this, that I'm not one of those fans, those diehard fans in that, I am a diehard fan, but I'm not one of those fans that will criticize other people if they don't like CM Punk. If you like John Cena, that's fine. If you like CM Punk, that's awesome. That's the beauty of pro wrestling. You like who you like and don't really bother other people who like other wrestlers. Don't shit on other people. Although I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, I don't like John Cena. I will criticize John Cena, the character, not the person, but I won't criticize his fans because, that's just the way it is. And, with the whole CM Punk UFC thing, I think the most important thing about it to me was that he's happy. He seems happy in life. He recently married, not recently, but in the last, 12 months, married the love of his life, AJ Lee, the WWE Diva, of course. He's writing comic books right now. He's got a lot of shit going on. He's got a lot of endeavors right now going on in his life, which is great. The CM Punk fans will be happy for him. People that don't like CM Punk, especially when it comes to the UFC thing, especially in that if you want to see him get his ass kicked, if you hate the guy, you hate his guts, then you will pay to see him get his ass kicked in the octagon. If you are a huge CM Punk fan like I am, you will buy the pay-per-view to see him succeed. So it's going to be a win-win either way. It's a big money deal from a business standpoint. It makes sense. Personally, yeah, I can absolutely see the criticisms and why would he sign with the company when, he's going to get beat up there, when he's getting beat up by Ryback and WWE. I absolutely understand that, but I think the bottom line with the whole CM Punk situation is that he's happy, which I think is the best thing for him right now, especially coming back from his time in WWE. And I've talked about this at length before. I'm not going to, go on a huge rant about this on when he will be back in WWE, but I've said this since the very first time it happened, about a year ago when he first left the company. I didn't time this in with that at all. I just, just occurred to me right now. It was almost exactly a year ago that CM Punk left the company right after the 2014 Royal Rumble match. He left the next night on Raw, right before Raw aired, and we haven't seen him in a WWE ring since. And, I still maintain that since the news broke that day, when it did break, I was so shocked. Someone tweeted me saying, any new news on the CM Punk update? And I just kind of disregarded it. I was on my way to class. I had no idea what this guy was talking about. Probably a CM Punk injury or something. And then right before class, I'm looking through the dirt sheets like I always do every morning, and I'm reading that CM Punk's gone from the company, Punk is gone, he's never coming back, he's on bad terms. I was shocked, and it took me a while to believe it, but even if there was a part of me at that time that knew that he wasn't coming back at this point in time, that it was real, this was not a work, and he actually was not coming back, there was part of me at that time, and still to this day, that maintains that he will be back at some point. He is absolutely WWE Hall of Fame worthy. I think that goes without saying. It's just more so a matter of the fact of whether he will be back in WWE. And like I said before, I still maintain that whether it be in a wrestling role or a non-wrestling role, whether it's just to come back for the WWE Hall of Fame, Bret Hart, when he left the company in 1997 on such bad terms in the Montreal Screwjob, never came back in an in-ring role. And I'm not counting his time in the ring, with Mr. McMahon and all the stuff that he did in 2010 and 2011. I don't count that shit at all because that was more so one-off appearances. But, it's a shame. We never really got to see Bret Hart back in a WWE ring as the Hitman in his prime before he unfortunately got injured in 2000, the whole thing with Goldberg over in WCW. And that sucks. But at least we were able, or have been able, to see him, make amends with the WWE, come back on great terms, bury the hatchet with Shawn Michaels 5 years ago this month, and an amazing moment, and one of the best moments in WWE and Raw history. And, CM Punk, I still maintain the same thing in that he is relatively young. He's not an Ultimate Warrior. He's not a Randy Savage. He's not a Bruno Sammartino, and where the rush to get back on good terms with those guys was there, because these guys don't have much longer. Warrior passed away right after he made amends with the WWE. And being the huge Ultimate Warrior that I am, huge Ultimate Warrior fan that I am, it was so great for me to finally see him take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame this past year before he passed away. And of course, he wasn't notably sick. He wasn't on his deathbed before he passed away. He just, the timing was just there. It was weird. That whole weekend was surreal. And Bruno, he's still living well. He's a living legend, literally and figuratively. And, he's still doing well. But, of course, Randy Savage passed away before they could make amends with the company. And I'll talk about Randy Savage probably in a future video blog. And, of course, I'm filming this only days after it was announced that he's going to the WWE Hall of Fame. And I couldn't be any happier for the guy. I talk all about it in this week's Wrestle Right Radio if you want to check it out. But Randy Savage is one of those guys that everyone wanted to see him come back. I remember, I wasn't too knowledgeable about the product at the time before he passed away from 2008 to 2011. I was not the most knowledgeable fan. But, even when Old School Raw first started, the very first one back in late 2010, I'll never forget this, in that I thought there was a chance that Randy Savage could always make an appearance on the show. It was right around the time that he had his birthday. I think it was March 15th. I think it was the night of his birthday. And I remember reading some website, happy birthday to Macho Man Randy Savage today, because it was my brother's birthday too, so that's why I remember that. And they said, is there a chance that we could see Macho Man tonight, finally make his return to WWE? Of course, it didn't happen. And it never would happen, unfortunately, because he passed away only 6 months later, and we never got to see Macho Man back in WWE. And thankfully, he's finally taking his place back in the WWE Hall of Fame, where he belongs, the long-time induction of the Macho Man Randy Savage, who has been long overdue for the longest time. So I'm very, very happy to see that. But I think the bottom line is that in CM Punk, and you see a lot of him that emulates, that idolizes guys like the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. And I really hope that, even he has gone on record, and he hasn't said he's never coming back. He has said, that he is on very bad terms with the company right now, and he really doesn't want to come back, and he has no plans to. But, and he does not want to be that guy who says, I'm never coming back, and then he comes back. He doesn't want to be that hypocrite. And some people already argue that he already is a hypocrite. Whatever, I'm not going to really get into that here. But in idolizing guys like Warrior and Savage, I think even Punk himself realizes in that I think there is a place for him in WWE down the line, whether it be, and of course I think the beauty right now and then in him signing with UFC is that there really is no chance of him coming back anytime soon. He can't come back in the Rumble match. He can't come back at WrestleMania. He can't come back at SummerSlam because he signed with UFC for at least through the rest of this year and 2016 as well. I have no idea. I know he signed a number of fights. I don't think he signed a year-to-year contract. I'm not exactly sure how it works. But I think the way it is right now is that there is absolutely no chance of him coming back anytime soon. That kind of, puts down the rumors. I'm definitely not being asked anymore on when CM Punk is coming back because there's no chance of him coming back at any point in the near future. But like I've said before in video after video and article after article, that he will be back at some point. I think CM Punk will come to his senses, realize that it's not only best for business, not to quote the authority here, but but it is best for his fans. And I think that was the same thing with Macho Man, in that the Poffo family, Lanny still to this day maintains that Randy wanted the entire family to go in. And I understand that, but WWE, you have to realize, is never going to induct everyone, because I don't even think Lanny, as good of a career as he had, is not WWE Hall of Fame worthy, and Randy Savage deserves to go in on his own. Maybe them at another point in time, but he needed to go in on his own. And even Lanny in recent interviews has said that, the reason why he agreed to do the induction for the Macho Man Randy Savage just recently, finally able to go through with it after all this time, was because, he's the older brother now, like he said before, and that, it was best for the fans. It was a disgrace to the fans to not see Randy Savage in the Hall of Fame, and he's finally doing those fans a service and putting him in. So I think Punk will see that as well, and a lot of people say he doesn't care about his fans. I don't really see it that way. I think the way that he talks about them sometimes is a little misconstrued in the way that, he talks in his podcast, and I think the Tell All podcast was what it was. I mean, yes, I did not really appreciate the way that he badmouthed some people for good reason. Ryback says that it wasn't true, what he said about him, blah, 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 blah. He just wanted to tell a story. It really wasn't a shoot. I mean, it technically was a shoot, but it wasn't meant to disparage anyone, even if it did. But that's another topic really for another day. But I think the bottom line at the end of the day, like I said, to kind of relate it all back on full circle here, is that CM Punk, like Savage, like Warrior, is going to take his place in the WWE Hall of Fame, come back to WWE at some point, because it's what his fans want to see. Yeah, I understand people disrespecting him and saying that we need you here right now, you walked out on us, you owe us something. Personally, being CM Punk's biggest fan, I don't think he owes a shit. As long as the guy's happy and he's healthy, that really goes for anybody. It doesn't matter how much success you have or whatever bullshit like that. That's just my personal philosophy. As long as the guy's healthy and happy, that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And right now it looks like that matters. That's what he is right now. He is happy. He is healthy, coming out of, nearly a year-long retirement from professional wrestling. It's been about a year since he walked away from WWE. But kind of tie it, go full circle. Go full circle here before we wrap it up. Excuse my botching. But I do think that CM Punk will be back at some point. The UFC stuff, I'm really interested to see where it goes. I wish him all the best of his success in his future endeavors in UFC, the comic book stuff, everything. I'm really excited to see what CM Punk does in 2015, this upcoming year. I think it's going to be a big year for CM Punk outside of the wrestling world, so couldn't be happier for the guy. And hopefully his fans can see it that way too. And for the people that don't like CM Punk, like I said before, that's completely fine. You don't have to like the guy. You're not a terrible fan. You're not a wrestling fan if you don't like CM Punk. Like, it really doesn't matter. You like who you like and you don't like who you don't like. That's just the way it works in the wrestling world. But don't put down CM Punk for his success and his health and happiness above all else, because he's doing what he's doing to love. He's doing what he loves right now, which is just hanging home, seeing his wife AJ Lee, doing the UFC thing. So I, for one, am very excited for CM Punk's future in 2015. I very much look forward to what he does in UFC, and I very much look forward to what CM Punk, Phil Brooks, does as a whole going forward in life. So happy for him, happy for his success, and happy where he goes in his future endeavors. Thank you, CM Punk.